The part that we're trying to replace, and it's known to cause problems, cause one of the MazdaSpeed bogs. Supposedly if you continuously clean it out, it shouldn't give you problems, but hopefully by replacing it we won't have to worry about that anymore. So there's a website that sells a aftermarket replacement part. I'll put a link in the description for that. Costs about 140 bucks. So this solution costs about half that. So if you're into DIY and figuring some stuff out for yourself, this might be a good solution for you. Alright, so here are some of the parts that you're going to need in order to complete this modification. So I've got some spare 1/8 inch diameter hose. Excuse the color on this, this is all they had. You're going to need some terminals. I'm actually going to cut off the insulation on this. This is what's going to connect the wiring to the original harness. You'll need some barbs. I believe they are 1032 for a 1/8 inch hose. I picked these up off eBay. I think they were about $7. I'll post all the specs in the description. Then you need a clamp to hold the solenoid. And this is the solenoid itself. So it is a ASCO 411L3212HV. This was not super easy to get a hold of. I ended up ordering it from a couple different places, and in the end I found it direct from the manufacturer. So it took about 2 weeks for it to arrive, but that's probably the best place to get it from. So this is what it looks like outside of the packaging. You've got the 2 wires, you've got your 2 terminals for you to connect the barbs, and if you'll notice, see how this one has 2 little dashes on it, and this one has 1 dash. This is how you can tell which side is which. So on this particular one, this port with the 1 dash is the normally closed. You can see it labeled here, 1, 2. That's the other place you can see it, 1, 2. 1 is normally closed, and that goes to the intake side. And 2 goes to the boost control solenoid. So we'll see that later. So we have to put these in each of the little holes. So they screw in pretty easy. Now the ones I bought come with a little O-ring, which would certainly help seal it. Not that you might need to, but if you take a 1/4 inch socket and just give it a little snug, make sure it's sealed nice and tight. Don't want to break anything though. So this is what the wire terminals look like now that they've been crimped and shrink wrap has been put over the connection. Now I've heard varying arguments for why you should solder versus crimp, and those that argue for crimping say that solder can get brittle, especially when exposed to heat, so anything that's under the engine should be crimped. I don't know what how true that is, but I went with the crimp fashion. I crimped it really well. There's no reason that this should ever fail. So the part we're looking for is down under here. It's got 2 hoses, one that runs from here all the way to the intake manifold, and then we've got another hose that actually connects up to this boost sensor. What I'm going to do is remove these 2 bolts. Takes a 10mm socket. Alright, with these two bolts removed, it should be easier for me to get access to that bottom hose. There's a hose clamp down here. Just get your pliers down. To loosen it. I'm going to unplug it too. There we go. Just unplug it. I'm going to undo this hose clamp down here. Okay, I'm just using the pliers to work it off. They've obviously been on there for a very long time. There we go. And now it's actually got a little clip that you just have to kind of free off this bracket. And there we go. So this is the other hose. Now it goes down like this, and you can see the other bracket connects up under there like that. Now unfortunately there's not enough room, I can kind of show you, for the hose to fit through this hole. So you have to kind of clamp it up from underneath, and this is why we got that extra little bit of hose. So the bracket that I'm going to mount it to is over here, and we're going to put our clamp off of this. Alright, so I'm going to remove this bolt. It's actually mounted on a rubber, so it's a little tricky to get some So as you can see, I rerouted some of the wires with much difficulty. Alright, I got my new hose hooked up. I just gotta bolt this back in. bolted in. I got all those plugged in. And that's it.